Hi friends, it's Melissa Pearson here with Student Nutrition Services for your last Mindful Eating Monday for the month of November. We will break and resume in February. Welcome. I hope everyone has a moment to go grab something, whether that be a snack, your dinner, possibly a super late lunch, to join in this virtual community as we sit and eat together. I'm going to put in the pin attendance in the comments, and I will also put it in the repost if you want pin attendance. We have the mindful eating playlist that is going right now, but if you would like to listen to that on your own for your own personal practice, you can find the link to that, our Spotify playlist, in Linktree at in our bio. You could also find a link to our mindful eating journal. And so our journal includes the mindful eating hunger fullness scale, where we assess kind of where hunger sits in our body and what it kind of looks like, because it looks different for everyone. And then our journal, so you can see, just having like a little bit of prompts, so you can understand, your hunger and fullness. And so if we take a look at the hunger fullness scale, if 1 is like most hungry I've ever been and 10 is like most full I've ever been, think about where you might fall in that. And hunger doesn't necessarily mean appetite. It could be, loss of energy, brain fog. It can be stress, anxiety. Sometimes happens with people when they're not when they're not eating enough during the day. Some things you can talk about with your registered dietitian. Again, a link for that in the bio if you wanted to work one-on-one with a dietitian about your personal needs. So let's go ahead and get started. As you know, I kind of talk through the session and pause and give a little bit of insight. So we'll just take a moment to scan our bodies and take 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Let it go. Again, inhale through the nose. Let it go. Last time, inhale through the nose. And let it go. And then take a moment to think about where you might be on the hunger fullness scale and how hunger presents in your body. Do you feel an appetite? Do you feel maybe stomach growling? Do you feel dizziness, brain fog, fatigue, maybe moodiness, hangry? And then if you are a person of prayer, if you wanted to give thanks, go ahead and take a moment to do that. And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and open up our eyes. And so so I can share with you, sometimes it helps, not to say that I have all of the answers, because really the answers are within you, but sometimes sharing helps for you to kind of see somebody's perspective, and it might resonate with you and it might not. So what I say is not necessarily right or wrong, but where I'm falling, maybe I'm honestly having a hard time distinguishing what my hunger level is today. I think partially because I'm a little tired from the weekend, right? And if you look on your journal, that's one of how much sleep did you get? What's your general mood? All of those things can energy level, all those things can affect our hunger. So I'm having a hard time distinguishing, on top of the fact that I had a lot of caffeine today and not enough water. And those are two factors that can affect hunger too. So I'm just gonna be real. I'm not really sure. Maybe it between a 4 and a 5. But because I'm not really sure, and because I had a little bit of a later lunch, I decided to go with something a little different. All right, so this is my yogurt bowl. I've got some yogurt, some berries, bananas, some almond butter, some jam, and some cereal. So I've got like the crunch, I've got some colors. And again, it's not to say this is like a judgment-free zone. So it's not to say that this is the ideal lunch. It's not, but this is what I'm feeling right now. So whatever you're feeling is totally fine. Again, if you want to talk about the things that are on your plate, meet with a registered dietitian, because what's right for me isn't necessarily right for you. What's right for you might not be right for everyone. So make that appointment. So we'll go ahead and just note, where we're at in our hunger, fullness. And then, as you know, that we look at the colors and we notice kind of what's going on. And so I've got some purple, I've got some red, of course, a lot of like yellows and beiges because of the banana, the yogurt, and the cereal. But I'm really liking the fact that I added like some color to this because it's very appealing to my eye. And then we'll go ahead and take a little sniff. And then pause and notice kind of what sensations you have. Like, is your mouth watering? Does your stomach, is it growling now that you took a smell? And so I'm noticing the smell of banana and almond butter. And so now that I've smelt it, I'm actually getting hungrier. So my body is starting to prepare and say, oh my gosh, we're gonna eat. So I'm probably a little bit hungrier than I thought that I was, which is okay. And then the next step, right? We see it, we smell it, we taste it, we feel it, right? We hear it, right? Involving all of those senses. And so as I mix, I'm kind of hearing, right, the cereal kind of mix around in there. And then I'll go ahead and take a taste if you wanted to join me in whatever it is that you're eating this afternoon or this evening. Remember those slow chews. Noticing the flavor. So that was like a really, really good bite. I had a really, really good mixture of like the banana, the yogurt, the cereal, and the blueberry on top of the almond butter. So I'm getting like salty, sweet, sour, and then getting like a little bit of crunch, right? So we can hear it as we chew, like what sounds is it making? That was a really good bite. So go ahead and guide yourself through a couple of bites, right? Look at it, smell it, chew, right? And again, challenge yourself to take those longer chews than you normally would. And again, challenge yourself to place the spoon down in between your chews, in between your bites, fully chew and swallow before you grab the spoon again. Sounds simple enough, but sometimes it can be challenging, especially when we're just being quiet and present with ourselves. But can we stay present? I'll go ahead and stop talking for a few moments as we enjoy. And if you're just joining us, we are actively practicing a mindful eating. So if you don't already have something to eat, go ahead and grab something. And then take a moment to notice all of the colors, the smells, right? And then the flavors as we chew slowly. And when you're ready, continue with your practice. And if you're just joining us, we are going through a mindful eating practice as a virtual community. So if you don't already, go ahead and grab something to eat, whether that's your dinner or a snack. Perfect. Great. Love to hear that. And when you're ready, just kind of pop in. And as I was kind of mentioning before, I was having a hard time distinguishing what my hunger level was. Again, part of it was because I'm tired from the weekend. I am a little dehydrated and I had a little too much caffeine this morning. So I've got my big glass of water that I'm gonna continue to drink. But these are kind of things that can affect or mask your hunger and fullness cues. So the more that we could tune into that, the more that we can kind of discover, how hunger and fullness sets in our bodies. And it's very interesting, as I started eating, I started to notice that I was hungrier than I thought I was. So sometimes, you just have to try and see how you are. And that might, you might notice that you're more full, you might notice that you're more hungry, but it's the practice that we go back to and learn about our bodies and what that means to be hungry at different times of the day in different situations. So again, looking at the food and then smelling it and noticing what's going on as our body prepares to eat. And then taking a bite and then remembering to take those longer chews. And then maybe note any like emotions that are coming up, any experiences that are coming up. And if your mind is kind of already going into the next thing, like your next step for the evening, or processing what happened earlier today, can you bring it back to this moment, to be here present, right, with your food, and really tune into everything that's going on with the flavors, with the food, with your body, and noticing the experiences that are happening right now, knowing that you can get back to that to-do list when you're finished eating. But we need to assess kind of what's going on now, so we know, so our body can tell us when we are finished eating. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. I'm distracted tonight too. I think it was the long weekend. It's a lot harder to be present when you're tired. But keep at it. Great for you for being here. So just make a mental note and then come back to this moment. Some things that can help ground into the present moment is, again, involving those senses. So feeling your feet on the ground, or your bottom on the cushion or the floor or sofa, or whatever it is that you're sitting, listening to the sounds around you in this space, right? So we're in a virtual space. So you're probably hearing me, you're probably hearing the music, but also what's going around in your space, right? Do you hear birds outside? Do you hear traffic? Like, do you hear your neighbors? And that can also help kind of ground you into what's going on now. Like, what do you smell? Is there a candle burning? Like, it can kind of ground you into now, taking a deep breath as well. So if you find yourself kind of going elsewhere, take a deep breath and try to feel something, look at something, hear something, smell something, right? Involving those senses. And that can get you more oriented to the here and now. Totally, yes, cooking can totally be a mindful activity, because you have to pay attention to what's going on. Especially if you're making something on the stove and it's sizzling, right? You're hearing it, you're smelling it, you're just being present with it. Cooking, absolutely. Cooking is a great way to be grounded and mindful. Thanks for sharing. And so we'll take a few more bites together as in our virtual community, and then we'll go back to that hunger fullness scale. So take your time. I know, like, you start kind of getting antsy. Take a breath. Put your hands or fork or spoon down. Chew, and then pick it back up and do it again. like a really chewy raisin right now. And if you feel yourself speeding up, see if you can slow it down. So we'll go ahead and take that body scan. It doesn't mean that we necessarily are finished with our food, but just to kind of assess where we're at, right? So if it feels okay to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you want to place, your hand somewhere on yourself, that's fine too. And then again, thinking about the scale between 1 to 10, 1 most hungry I've ever been, 10 most full I've ever been. Think about where you might be at. And so I feel like I started maybe between a 4 and a 5, so 5 being kind of neutral, not hungry, not full. I feel like I'm a little more towards that 6. But again, it's a little cloudy, so I might pause for a little bit and maybe wait about 10 minutes before I come back and finish this, because I want to make sure that I don't get too uncomfortable, because right now I'm feeling okay. And that's okay. When we're dehydrated, we get fuller faster because our stomach shrinks, which might be why I'm feeling a little full. So I'm just gonna kind of save this as a snack for later, possibly like adding this to a second dinner later on tonight, which is okay. We are, this is our last mindful eating Monday of the fall semester. We will resume again in the spring for the month of February. So be looking out for that on PIN or on our social media. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM us. I will repost this momentarily with the information for PIN if you want to get PIN attendance. Again, nutrition counseling is available to you as a student at Georgia State. You can find a link to that in our link tree, as well as our mindful eating journal and our mindful eating Spotify playlist. I appreciate you for joining me today. Absolutely. I hope that your week goes well, and good luck on finals. Have a good night.